thank you for joining us again at Voice of Rohingya Radio, a registered nonprofit coming to you from the state of Oregon in the United States of America. I would like to thank all of our listeners who allow this program to continue providing the latest news through our exclusive interviews, reports from inside the border, and reputable sources from around the world. If you would like to stay up to date with our program, you can view or download all of our broadcasts online at youtube.com/VOR Radio, or you can join our Facebook page to find more information on past and future programs. It is August 31st, 2014. For Voice of Rohingya Radio, I am your host, Zach Taylor. For the last few weeks, we at Voice of Rohingya Radio have been receiving news on the development of a new sinister plot to move the Rohingya further away from citizenship by forcing Rohingya to identify as Bengali immigrants on so-called census forms. One of our sources from inside the border reports that Rohingyas of Arakan are now constantly haunted by the genocidal citizenship law of 1982. It has already destabilized the small and secluded Rohingya population of Meabon Township, where they are fleeing IDP camps that have been likened to concentration camps to avoid the onslaught of the law. The majority of the Rohingya population in northern Arakan, specifically Mongda and Butedong townships, are now under severe pressure to relinquish their Rohingya heritage and rights to citizenship and to instead accept the false label Bengali, implying they are alien settlers from Bangladesh. By registering for the new citizenship program as Bengali, it opens the door for the government to impose enforcement of the highly controversial 1982 citizenship law, a law which has already erased the previously recognized bona fide status of Rohingyas. If this law had not been ratified by the then one-party socialist ruler, General Ne Win, the nationality rights of the Rohingyas would be guaranteed to this day, and they would be able to have the rights of most Burmese, including the right to political representation. Under the 1948 Citizenship Law and the 1949 National Registration Act, Rohingyas had joined different government services, including the armed forces. They had the freedom to participate in politics, receive an education, participate in economic activities, and to practice their religion. All of these privileges have been stripped from the Rohingya since the 1982 law. Our source remarks that this is no law, but government-ordained ethnocide. This new discriminatory citizenship program, which has been touted by the Myanmar government as a step towards citizenship for the country's disenfranchised ethnic groups, is to be implemented in northern Arakan as a testing area. Our source likens this to a scientist testing drugs on rats and dogs, saying that this new law has become a tool for the government to infringe upon and annul the citizenship status of any ethnic group in Myanmar, and the Rohingyas have become the first target. Mekhepa, which is the anti-illegal immigration department under the Border Guard Police, is hastily implementing the clandestine law under the guise of a census. Rohingyas are resisting registering as Bengali or taking place in the supposed census thus far, but the authorities are answering with violence by using force and intimidation tactics like night raids to Rohingya households and physical abuse and molestation of women. Just yesterday, Rohingya Vision TV, a Rohingya news network, released information about Myanmar's Border Guard Police and Mae Pha raiding the Kiang Chang village by encamping at the transport station on Thursday, where they arrested every Rohingya passerby and forcibly registered them as illegal Bengali immigrants. Those who agreed to be registered as Bengali, coming under the pressure and threats of the police and Mae Pha, were released, while those who refused to be registered were arrested and detained in the local police station. Nearby in Lundung village, youths hiding by a house where a police officer began sexually harassing a Rohingya woman could no longer tolerate it and attempted to save her from the officer's molestations. This began a quarrel between the police and the youths. The police then reportedly opened fire at the youths, 4 of whom were hit by the bullets, and the other 5 were arrested. Of the 4 youths injured by the gunfire, 1 youth was said to have passed away 2 days later. The latest reports show that the BGP and the military have blocked both villages. No one is allowed to enter or leave the villages, which they have completely besieged. They threaten that they will continue their actions until and unless Rohingyas agree to be registered as Bengali. A report from KPN News said that the police warned that if the villagers do not take part in the population data collection, they will be jailed for 6 months. The report also released the names of 6 people who were arrested and forced at gunpoint to register themselves as Bengali before they were allowed to leave. This doesn't seem to be an isolated event, as more reports keep coming in from various villages describing similar offenses. Our source pointed out that Bengalis are often not illegally entering Myanmar, but Rohingyas are opting to immigrate to different countries for protection, and Bangladesh often bears the brunt due to its shared border with Myanmar. There is marked inconsistency with regards to the Myanmar government's claim of Bengali infiltration. Mae Pha's main duty is said to be to thwart and prevent Bengali infiltration. But today's Bangladesh is economically much stronger than Myanmar. Burma is an impoverished country and lags behind the rest of the world in most of its economic activities, thus there is no logical reason for any Bengali to cross over into Arakan for their livelihood. The Myanmar government has been trying to hoodwink international community by painting Myanmar as a resource-rich country with abundant food and grains. Our source continues that Meike Fa's activities are insidious and have no conformity to the actual situation on the ground. A blind eye has been turned to these mass exoduses of Rohingya fleeing by boat across the Bay of Bengal. All security departments, including the border guard police, are heavily involved in the racket, and a huge amount of money is extorted from the seagoers. Our source warned that the international community should be vigilant as winter approaches, and exodus across the Bay of Bengal will commence in full swing. The coastline should be brought under international scrutiny to prevent the human trafficking that will most likely soon take place there. Our source concluded that an international naval presence in collaboration with Bangladesh Navy and Coast Guard can produce good results and deter any human trafficking. You are listening to Voice of Rohingya Radio. Thanks again for listening to Voice of Rohingya Radio, a registered non-profit organization coming to you from the state of Oregon in the United States of America. I am your host, Zach Taylor. Bangladesh will seek a specific timeline from Myanmar to repatriate its nationals during today's Foreign Secretary-level talks, a senior foreign ministry official said. Dhaka will put forth its position even as it wants to give the bilateral relations a boost resolving irritants. Myanmar's deputy foreign minister will lead his side at the foreign secretary-level meeting known as Foreign Office Consultation. A foreign secretary will lead the Bangladesh side at the talks. A senior official of the foreign ministry told BD News 24 that border management, Rohingya repatriation, trade, connectivity, and gas import issues would be some of the topics that would dominate the talks. The official, who will be present at the meeting, seeking anonymity, said that he would propose an umbrella agreement with Myanmar to settle unresolved issues, Rohingya refugees being among them. Bangladesh gave shelter to thousands of refugees who fled the Rakhine province after sectarian clashes over the years. The UN Refugee Agency put the number in Bangladesh at over 200,000, with 30,000 documented refugees living in 2 government-run camps within 2 kilometers of the Myanmar border. According to some estimates, there are more than 500,000 living outside the camps in Bangladesh. The foreign ministry official said that they would ask Myanmar to take back the documented nationals from the camps. We are aware of the human rights situation in Rakhine State, but we are a very small country, the official said. We want to settle our bilateral issues bilaterally. He, however, ruled out any plan of seeking help from regional countries in this regard. The foreign minister recently, at a discussion, termed Myanmar an important partner of Bangladesh in international collaboration and said they would continue their efforts to increase ties. In other news, a senior Buddhist monk has urged political parties to prioritize nationalism over human rights. A member of the Central Committee for the Protection of Nationality and Religion, better known as Ma Ba Tha, made the comment while defending the controversial draft interfaith marriage law, which could restrict marriages between Buddhist women and non-Buddhist men. All political parties should give priority to nationalism, which is the interest of the majority in their political activities. General Aung San carried out political activities with a nationalist spirit. Nationalism means the interest of national ethnic groups and citizens. We must protect these interests, the senior monk was quoted. He was responding to accusations from a National League for Democracy official that the draft law was a superficial and cheap political move. The secretary of the NLD Central Research Management Team is also the dean of the Baida Institute, a political training school. Other civil society and political leaders have also criticized the law, with more than 100 groups issuing a joint statement describing the draft as disgraceful. Some members of organizations that issued the statement subsequently received death threats. The Mabah chair has also responded to the secretary's comments, saying in a statement that the proposed law was in the best interest of the country and it was the duty of all patriots to support it. Decades of speculation have been brought to an end. Myanmar's population, estimated in recent years at anywhere from 45 to 70 million, stands at roughly 51.5 million, the Central Census Committee announced on the 29th in the first release of data of the March census. The figure is significantly lower than previous official estimates that had put the population at more than 60 million, as well as the figure of 59.1 million used by agencies such as the United Nations Development Program. In Rakhine State, the government backflipped on a previous promise to allow everyone to self-describe their ethnicity after pressure from Rakhine groups, declaring on the eve of the count that nobody would be allowed to enter Rohingya on the census form. Although some Muslims in Rakhine State opted for the government's preferred term of Bengali, most refused and were not counted. We couldn't collect in 3 districts of Rakhine State because the people wanted to self-describe as Rohingya, Minister for Immigration and Population told journalists at a census press conference on August 30th. The Ministry of Immigration and Population will release more detailed socioeconomic data in May of 2015. However, information on ethnicity will not be published till after the 2015 general election. The count, which took place on March 29th, cost an estimated US $74 million, with much of the funding coming from international donors, most notably the British, Norwegian, Australian, and Swiss governments. Thanks again for listening to Voice of Rohingya Radio, a weekly news program bringing you up-to-date information about the Rohingya people in Myanmar. You can catch our broadcasts every Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific Time here in the United States at youtube.com/VOR Radio, or you can join our page on Facebook to find more information on the program. For Voice of Rohingya Radio, this is Zach Taylor, signing out.